folks. Well, I hope you're doing well. Look, the Bible tells us in Proverbs 22 and verse 6 to train up a child in the way that he'll go, and he will not quickly depart from it. We all know that verse has been used to condemn a lot of parents. Our nature is made up of 5 different aspects in terms of our immaterial soul, and one of those being our ability to choose. That's what allows us to believe in the Lord, and it's a whosoever will may come in Revelation 22:17, or as Jesus prayed in Matthew 23:37, I would have gathered you as a chick, a hen does chicks under her wings, but you would not. So there was a decision that was made by the leadership and many of the people in Israel. In fact, our Bible's just full of bad choices, is it not? But I want you to think about those people that oftentimes, and in our culture today, that have kind of just simply abandoned, I guess you say common sense. And when I speak of common sense, I speak to that which it is common to all of humanity. C.S. Lewis was basically converted to Christianity when he studied all of the various cultures and realized that there's a common thread in terms of what men would expect from each other, the way they treat each other, what is right, what is wrong. It can obviously be distorted. We can accept reasoning that would allow us to break certain aspects of our conscience. For example, in some belief systems, it's acceptable to persecute those or even enslave those that don't have our belief or don't agree with us. We're certainly seeing a lot of this disrespect and dehumanization of individuals simply based on the fact that they don't agree, or they agree with someone that you don't agree with. That's, if you will, a violation of just common sense. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all change what we think at times. We evolve, I guess you could say, in terms of our reasoning and understanding. So to condemn a person, it just doesn't seem sensible to do that. In fact, there was an article written regarding G.K. Chesterton and the way that he approached life and how he viewed common sense. And I thought, it was written in the Epic Times. It was in the January edition. You can probably look it up. But the point of the matter was, it's interesting to realize that what he said is that men do not differ much about what they'll call evils, but they differ enormously about what evils they will excuse. Now, I think that's interesting. We do have this ability to find, excuses for our behavior. What we would allow someone to get away with. We're seeing a lot of that in our culture today, where young people are not held responsible for the things that they've done because they're young people or they're of a minority. Is right and wrong? I think most sensible people would say that it is, and I often have wondered if the people that if that same crime was perpetrated against the individuals that are judging this, if they would be so nice about other people's pain and suffering. I kind of think that they wouldn't. But the truth of the matter is that we find a way to excuse what other people do, or even what we do. We find a way to justify our behavior. That's not uncommon when it speaks of the fact in Romans 2 and verse 14 and 15 that the Gentiles either accused or excuse themselves. That's what we all do. We live like that. So training up a child in the way that he should go. Think about that for a moment. Most of our child rearing is not necessarily experience in terms of physicality, it's not based on what a child is doing, but it's what he's thinking. Is he kind? Does he respect other human beings? We certainly wouldn't want to raise a bully. We wouldn't want to raise someone that diminished or demeaned another person. Certainly wouldn't want them to be in that position. And so oftentimes the way that we relate to our children is to teach them moral characteristics, moral aspects, like kindness and respect for another human being, even if you don't necessarily like that person or even might disagree with that person, or when a person is acting in a way that's hurtful to others, to not go along with it, call it out lovingly, but call it out. Don't just go along. What happens when we do that? Can we do it in a respectful way? I believe that, truthfully, every person that has accepted a belief system that does not reflect a relationship with God and the one who created us, and doesn't see people in such a way, in Genesis 1:26 and 27, created in the image and likeness of God, in other words, a reflection of God, whether they act it out or not, whether they respect it or not. I believe every person that has cut themselves off from that mindset is a person that could very easily conscience doing great harm to people and thinking nothing of it. Could easily diminish another person and see no reason why they shouldn't. Could easily put themselves in a position where harm could be done to another and they would have no conscience of it. It's just a matter of, basically, what moral values have we instilled in this person? And let me just say this, and I'll close here. If we don't do it, the world certainly will. And the world and the God of this world, the God of chaos of this world, the God that despises everything that speaks to a monotheistic God and our Savior, Jesus Christ, that God would love to undermine every established value that we have. And he would love to train our children, our grandchildren, and you and I to act in such a way, to demean and diminish another person's value. Perhaps the greatest testimony that we can have right now is not our silence. That speaks of nothing. But the fact that when we vocalize our differences, we vocalize them with respect, even if no one else will. That Christianity, it hinges upon this issue of respect that we have for another person's right, not only to be based on God's unique identity that he stamped on that person, but the right to be heard and to speak. And also to be wrong, as we all have been at various times. So what do we teach? What is it that we're teaching? Is it a behavioral element? That's part of it. But what's the character that underlies the behavior? What aspects? Is it respect? Because that individual is created in the image and likeness of God. Is it kindness? Because we all fall short of the glory of God, and he's been kind. Is it merciful? Can we care for a person even if we disagree? Does our heart, is there something within us that sees the harm of another individual as painful, even if they deserved the justice that they received? Are we capable of just not thinking too much of ourselves, not being high-minded, as it says in Romans 12 and verse 3, but just condescending to men of low estate, just being capable of identifying with every person, Is it humility? Is it the humility that allows us to think in a way that doesn't exalt anything we know or have achieved, but sees us as Christ saw himself? Not only did he understand his equality with God, but he set that aside so that he could identify with us. Interesting. What are we teaching? What is our life teaching to another? What are we saying by virtue of the things that we do and how we act? What is that? What are those traits that we pass on to another? I'll close with this. We've all got prodigals. A prodigal, as described in Luke 15, doesn't need an elder brother to speak of all the things that they've done right and that the prodigal did wrong. They need a merciful father that is just thankful that he was once dead, but now he's alive. He was lost, but now he's found. What are we teaching our young people? Something to consider. Till next time, friends.